What is the worst country you visited and why? In no particular order. South Sudan is a very sad place. Guinea-Bissau is pretty rough. Worse than Liberia, Sierra Leone and Guinea. Somalia is better than you're guessing, but still pretty rough. Israel is hell on earth. The US is bad, but not easily felt by visiting it. South Africa is more fucked up than you'd guess. Haiti is worse than you'd guess. I was in Syria before the war and everything, and it was pretty weird. I have felt most worried for my personal safety in Israel. I have felt saddest for the people of Haiti and South Sudan. South Sudan. There were anti-aircraft guns and child soldiers at the airport. There was no electricity, no roads, no running water, no banking or waste management system, and no security. Everywhere smelled of burning rubbish. I went to a briefing at the Ministry of Agriculture. The minister said, basically, there is no agriculture in his country because all of the farmers are huddled in refugee camps for fear of being beheaded by rival factions. And even if they were able to grow crops, we'd have no way to distribute them because we don't have roads. Ukraine, shortly before the war, you were basically seen as a walking ATM. You go to a restaurant, you better make sure they have a menu with prices. You date a girl, never take her to somewhere you don't know, because she will rip you off. You cannot trust the police as well. I have been to almost everywhere in Southeast Asia and Europe, into way poorer countries. I have never been treated more demeaning than in Ukraine. Odessa, which was worse than Kiev. I felt myself safer in India. Worse is probably in Afghanistan or Zimbabwe. My visits to different countries is pretty limited. Only US. And I've been to Canada, Mexico, Jamaica, the Bahamas, and in Europe, I visited UK, France, Belgium, Netherlands, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Italy, Greece and Italy, and the Vatican. I've loved everywhere I've visited. If there's any place I'd probably never go again, it would be France. It was all just there. Reminded me too much of America, I guess. With how I've only been to Estonia and Russia. Russia is the worst country I've ever visited. City in an all-rich country which used to be one of the big Finnish cities, where a small town at the outskirts of my more medium-sized city looked much better than Viboya, located not too far from St. Petersburg, Jamaica in 1998. They promote this image of being a wonderful, beautiful vacation getaway, but the truth is, many there, especially street vendors, absolutely despise tourists. Why behind your back as you walk away experience myself several times is disturbing. And there were multiple incidents that year where tour buses were attacked with battery acid thrown on the tourists. Latvia, on a school exchange trip. What I saw of the country, which is limited, I'm aware, and I was like 16, was extremely depressing, and basically everyone I met there was unpleasant. Even the people supposed to house us for the 2 weeks we were there. Not a fun experience, though I'm aware it pales in comparison to some of these other stories. 1990s Nicaragua was probably the worst I've seen personally. Also, the area frontier with Costa Rica was full of ex-Contra, and their supporters so even on that aspect it looks super wrong. I remember on a bus a girl selling drinks on plastic bags. I don't mean bottles, but directly you drank off the plastic bag because it's cleaner senya. As a black woman, Italy. The weather, food and nature were amazing, but I experienced so much racism and hostility. Some restaurants would refuse to serve me by straight up ignoring me. I had an incident of someone spitting at me and telling me to go back to Africa. And overall, I felt unsafe and unwelcome. Turkey, opus sellers yelling and arguing with you about why you won't go into their bazaar. Rudeness, lack of boundaries, and constant hypervigilance as everyone tries to overcharge for everything all the time. Egypt and India a close second, as a Scandinavian woman light skin. Eyes and hair, it was a nasty experience. Tourists are ripped off anyway, And that's not unexpected, but the sheer number of men cheering, catcalling, and wait often even trying to touch is gross. Unpopular opinion: my wife, daughter, and I actually enjoy Egypt quite a bit, and we visited Cairo, Giza, Hurghada, and Luxor. This was in 2022. No negative experiences to speak of, except for the usual stuff, for example, sellers trying to sell you stuff at the bazaar. Worst ever for me was Ayia Napa, Cyprus. Fuck that city. In that country, infection spread to both my eardrums, which put me on a no-fly list until it healed. Wallet got stolen. Had a break-in on the hotel. Just generally a fucking hell week. Never going back. Technically, I've been to Haiti, but it was a private island owned and operated by Royal Caribbean. So it's not like I was actually in Haiti. St. Thomas was a real shithole. But my real answer is most of Russia. I don't think I need to follow up with why. Korea. Almost all the food stores were selling the same unwelcome xenophobia. Locals spitting on the floor and throwing cigarette butts too. Never will be heading to Middle East country though. Seen and heard too many horror stories. Since last week. Or the week before. Commerce credit comments. Wumpstef, what was the worst country you visited? Technically not a country. At Gaza Strip. I think folks would be surprised just how much anti-Semitism pervades the culture there. You'd sit down to eat, and you'd hear praise Allah. Death to the Jews as a quick pre-meal prayer. To know about the rest of the country. At Copenhagen is the most boring capital I ever visited. Boring architecture. Expensive off and maybe just unlucky. But I couldn't find any nice bars to chill at. The museum is cool though. I'm sure if I had visited Egypt I'd be saying there. But for me it was Bolivia. Never made it to La Paz, but the small mountain villages and towns I did visit were, for lack of a better word, shitholes. Zimbabwe, pervasive corruption, rampant crime, alarming levels of segregation, scorching temperatures. I earnestly hope for and pray that the government swiftly addresses these issues. Dubai. I know it's rich, sophisticated, a holiday destination for many, and so on. But I just hate its tasteless clits, its lack of soul, and the intense stratification of its society. Russia just makes you sad how they have all the resources in the world but still live like there was no industrial revolution. I'd rather live in Somalia lest the weather is good. Vanuatu. The food was disgusting and not even cheap. Beaches were filthy. People were friendly enough, but absolutely no service because everyone was on island time. France, even if people saw that I'm not understanding French and want to speak English, which I saw they understood, still all the responses were in French. UAE, specifically Dubai. I'm not saying it's worse, but it just was too superficial for my liking. It's like a massive mall. Everything is just too curated. Croatia, to crick-sounding bugs drove me crazy. My only time I saw the sea is I hate hot weather. The groceries were somehow expensive. Seems weird to use such a generalized superlative. But Cambodia had the most blatant social problems of my limited travels about Asia. I'm going by food places that are weird still have great food. The food you may think costs $200 a plate is like one on Tay Street. It's amazing. Sweden. I haven't even gone there. Hating Sweden is in my genes. I'm half Finnish, half Swedish, but act more Finnish, live in Finland. I'm surprised nobody mentioned Nigeria. It was bloody awful in the 1980s. And I gather it hasn't improved since then. USA, because they try to poison you with high fructose corn syrup. Nothing is healthy or safe even at fast food places. Florida, shit culture, shit politics, shit climate. Plus the whole goddamn place is flat as a pancake. Never again. Most posts here this country is dirty, rude, scammy, etc. And the Dubai posts malls to big, superficial. Venezuela. Went for business and it's every bit of the dangerous shit show that the State Department warns it is. Congo. It's the extreme form of wealth division where 99% of the people don't even have basic rights. As a Filipino, South Korea, the racism is real. Beautiful country. It's just how they treat you there. Past threads asking the exact same question have led me to believe that Egypt is the right answer. Bali. Would have liked to see Bali in 1950. Now, it's just dirty and garbage filled. Gross. The US is basically a bunch of countries all mashed together, so the worst country has been Ohio. Jamaica. As someone queer, I had my life threatened. It was the scariest moment of my life. Israel, the checkpoints, apartheid and suppression was a terrible and soul-crushing sight. I'm in Honduras right now. I have diarrhea so bad. It comes out like a pressure washer. Cary, Indiana. What? That isn't the go-to answer for all these types of questions. I'd rather not bash any country. Each place has its own charm and challenges. US other. Shitty roads, broke-down infrastructure and no culture. Didn't like Switzerland, although their flag is a big plus. Paraguay. But in fairness, I was only in Ciudad del Este. Turkey. My dad is Turkish and he disliked the trip too. England. Although I was 10 and haven't visited since.